What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Diecast. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Shout out to all of our returning viewers and subscribers. Thank you. And welcome to any first-time viewers or new subscribers to the channel. Welcome. Today in the parking lot at Tiny Town, we have some cars out for Wheel Swap Wednesday. So, as you can see, we have a Porsche Carrera over here. This guy has been slammed out on some gold-faced BBS with the polished lip. Beautiful, full roller. We have the Carrera RS with the silver BBS face. These are bearing wheels. So crazy spin on those. Full roller. Beautiful. Absolutely slammed. We have the Daniel Arsham 930, the first release. This one has also been slammed out. Full roller. Excellent. And we have the 930 from the Boulevard series on the Turbo Max. This thing is also full roller and slammed out. So, these are out because today we are going to be slamming this guy. This is the Porsche GT3 RS casting that we just looked at a couple videos ago. That is on the Gran Turismo card. And we are going to be putting some Chisaii BBS GT3 18s, which I'll put over here on the side. You guys take a look. Tell me if you think that's the same wheel. That's what it most closely resembled to me, so that's what I'm going to roll with. Chisaii are an excellent brand of wheel. They're on the bigger side, so they do take up more space, which is excellent for slamming like larger castings or castings that are lower. So this is an excellent choice. So let's jump right into it. So boom, here's our car. For this sake of time, I went ahead and drilled this already, so you can see our rivets are drilled out. And if you use the ring method to the point where you just barely drill it enough to break the ring of the rivet off, then the car will stay together and it snaps back together. So that's what we've done. And then on the inside, I've already cut the axles out, and we'll just slide that out like that. And to get these axle pieces cut, especially on the premium base, I use these cutters. I get these from Hobby Lobby. I want to say they're $4.99 a piece, or maybe $9.99, I believe. One of those two. But yeah, they work great. They will cut for a long time, and then eventually you will have to replace them. So as you can see on this side, both sides are cut. I did leave this side intact so that you guys could see. When you do this, make sure you have on some sort of safety glasses or your eyes are protected. Boom. So now that's all cut. And sometimes if you could see like how there's still a little bit in the middle, I'll take these and kind of dig them through like that. Bring it around the other side. Dig that through. Perfect. Now what we're going to be doing is building our new axle. One thing I will say about this particular casting is the base is super flat. So I don't think we're going to have to shave very much, if any at all, in order to get this slammed out and rolling. So next up, we have our tubing that we get from Hobby Lobby. So this is aluminum tubing. Comes in a package like this, and this is the particular part number. So if you're interested in purchasing that, that's what you'll look for. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our tubing and we're going to create a new axle that sits up higher than what our normal Hot Wheels axle would sit. We're going to line that up as much as we can with the outside of the body. And I like to leave a little bit so that we can sand it down and make sure that it's nice and even. And then I just come in here with some nail clippers right up against that edge. Clip. Now we'll take this out. I have a little file. You can get a file set like this at like Lowe's or any hardware store, Ace Hardware, anything like that. Just ask them for a file set. So it's just a little metal file, and what we're going to do is file this down until it's nice and even. Alright, so we've got our axle filed down on both sides. Really it's not the axle, it's just the tubing, but you can see how it's nice and flush with both sides, so we're good to go there. And now we'll repeat that process for the rear axle, which is going to be a wider axle than what the front is. So on castings that have the same front and rear width, you could just copy and paste, right? You could just hold this up to your tubing and then cut another length the same. Unfortunately for this one, we're going to have to measure it out again because on the Porsche, the rear is wider. So let's get that done and we'll be right back. All right, so we got front and rear axles made out. You can see they're both out to the length of the body. So now that those are set, we're going to open up our axles. So here we have 2 axle tubes and 4 pins for the ends. So let's get these out and then I'll show you how we're going to build our axle. Alright, so we have our axle tubes and our axle pins laid out. So we're going to take 1 tube and 1 pin, and we're going to just give a slight kink so that it's slightly bent. When we put this in the end of the tube, that little bend causes enough friction to where it's now fit snug in there. Then we're going to take one of our wheels, and so these are squared. You don't have a front and a rear, unfortunately. They're all going to have the same dish, which is okay. It's not a huge deal to me. Obviously, on a real Porsche, the rear wheels would be wider. In some brands that you buy in aftermarket wheels, you do get a deeper dish rear than you do in the front, but these just happen to all be the same. So let's get our first wheel out. So here's a close-up of that wheel. So we get excellent detail in there. You can see the center is 3D printed and the outer is like a machined aluminum lip. So beautiful. You got a nice rubber tire on there, and then here's the back side of the wheel. So we're going to take our axle with the pin on this end and put this through the face of the wheel. Boom. So now we have a nice silver center cap fully on there, and it rolls without issue. And then we're going to take our axle tube that we cut, and we are going to put the axle through. Right, so we got our tube slid all the way down. Our center cap is nice and snug. Everything is there, and we still have a very nice, smooth, easy roller. And we're going to slide this one on face out, obviously. Boom. So, as you can see, once we slide that through, there is a teeny tiny bit of the axle poking through. Very, very small amount. That's probably okay. That's just enough. This right here actually looks pretty good. So, we'll set that down. We'll get another one of our pins for the end. Again, we're just going to put a slight kink in it. And this is going to go in. And we have now closed off that axle. Sometimes I'll take another set of rail riders in the axle and I'll just push it through. Make sure it's all the way down. Perfect. Now what that did was it gives us a little bit of play, but as you can see, both wheels spin freely. So this one spins independent of this and vice versa because the axle is inside, right? So it's moving around it. So now your wheels aren't tied together. It's not like they're both rolling at the same rate. They roll independently. So then we set this up in our normal axle channel, and what we're looking for to see is, do we have clearance? Do we see our tire below this base. And right now, we don't. So there's two reasons for that. One is going to be this channel. I'm going to use the file. So this channel here is not deep enough. And so what Mattel has done is they've built up this center to make this lower, to make the axle lower on this car. Whereas normally it would be down where this center is here. So what we're going to do is we're going to shave a little bit of a channel into this right here. And then we're going to take our file and we're going to shave down these channels right here in order for our bigger axle to go down a little bit further, which is going to allow us to get wheel clearance just below the base and just below the front lip, which you can see are nice and even. So unfortunately, I'm going to do this off camera, but what you'll do is like a ball grinder, and you'll just kind of hollow this center section out, and I'm going to do it on the front and rear, and then I'll show you that when I come back. All right, so we're back. We've got the center grinded out. So we'll put our axle back in to the front and center it, and we'll push it down as far as the normal channel allows, and see now we've got a little bit more clearance there. So then we'll come over. We still don't have clearance under the base. Let's take our body. Okay, so this is going to be like an absolutely slammed stance. And as you can see as well, we've got a little bit of poke there. I personally don't care for the extra poke. I would rather have my wheel swap super flush. So I'm going to show you how we'll solve that as well. But as you can see, this would be like literally just slammed out. So we're going to take it back apart. And we're going to grind down that channel right there with our file so that that axle goes down a little bit further, which should give us some more clearance down underneath. And even if we have just the teeny tiniest bit, that will still make our car slammed and able to roll. Basically, we're just going to take this and run it back and through until this files out, and then that axle can push down further. Right, so we've grinded it out a little bit. It's always good to start slow so you don't go too far, but I think we've got a good start. So we'll grab our axle again, and probably the most tedious part about slamming a car out is the test fitting. It's the back and forth. It's finding the clearance, shaving things down, trying to get everything to line up, etc. So we'll push that down. You can see it looks pretty even there, so both sides should be shaved evenly, but unfortunately we just do not have that clearance yet. We're not even close, right? So we'll take our body and test fit again. Okay, so everything's on. It doesn't even roll still. So we have plenty of room to go where we can basically still push that axle down and still have very, very little wheel gap. And we might even get away without having to shave the inside of the fenders because we have to push the wheel down so much. So we'll come back, we'll shave some more out of that wheel well and then see where we're at. All right, so we shaved out quite a bit more, considerably more. So you can see that that's almost smooth now with where we grinded down our centerpiece to. So let's go ahead and get our axle in and do our test fit. And you're going to want to push this down as far as it would go on both sides. If we hold it there, it looks like this side, it looks to be a little bit higher. So we'll push over here to see if we can get it to even out. And then we hold there and it actually looks kind of straight. I don't know, maybe it's still going up a little bit the other direction. So what we can do is push this side up a little. But if we're going by the line on the body here, assuming that that's straight, that looks to be about straight. So we'll push down in the center and see if we can get both sides evenly. And it looks like we're still straight there. Looks pretty straight to me. So now what we're going to do is look. Now as you look, see how we can see a tiny bit of that tire underneath. And then if we turn to this side and look, we see a tiny bit of tire underneath. You also can look from the front. It looks like we will get it to catch. I think we'll be okay. It's going to be dragging, but that's actually pretty decent. So now we'll take our body and test fit, and look at that. So that wheel gap is very, very tiny. You can see a little bit of space between there and a little tiny bit of space between this one. So I don't think that's all that bad. We do still have that poke that we're dealing with, which we're going to address next. So let's get the rear axle made, see if it has any poke, and then we'll address that poke on both axles at the same time. All right, so we got the axle made for the front and the rears. You can see how they sit down inside that channel now, and basically shaving out the middle of that was absolutely 100% necessary in order to get the wheel to clear and be showing underneath so that the tire and the wheel combo could roll. So here we are, we're set up. So since we have our wheels in place, we'll test fit with our body to make sure that we have clearance on our fenders, and then also to check body clearance on the sides to see how flush it fits. So the rears actually look pretty good. They might be able to use just a tad of tucking, but for the most part it's pretty good. That front though definitely pokes a little bit more than I would care for, so we will address that. However, right now what we're going to do, since we have the body on, we're going to see, does this roll as is? And right now I have a smooth roller front and rear. Boom, same thing. So what I'm going to do is, since I have the glass out on this rear axle piece, I'm going to dab some glue onto that axle in the middle so that that holds it in place and make sure that it's secure and that the wheel and tire combo doesn't raise or lower any more on me, that it sits basically where I have it when the car sits on the ground and it is able to roll. So I know that when I do it on the ground, boom, it's in the position where it can roll and I'm not going to have any issues. Testors super glue, get this at Hobby Lobby. This is non-toxic, so it doesn't really like stick to fingerprints and stuff like crazy glue does. And we're just gonna go inside of there. I just want to make sure I get that axle nice and good, only in the center. You don't want to go to the outside because then it'll get stuck in your wheels and your wheels won't roll. So we're going to let that dry. Then we'll get our body off. We'll do our front axle, let that dry, and then we'll finish out by getting the flushness with the wheels as well. All right, so we've got our axles glued in place. Both of them have dried and set, so we are good there. Now we know that our body indeed goes on and that in the position the axles are in, they clear the base so that the car can roll, and they also clear the fenders so that the car can roll. So now we're going to address the fitment issue with how flush the front and rear wheels sit. Again, the rear wheels are a little bit better than the fronts, but still need to be tucked in a little. So what we're going to do, since we have the adjustable axle and this center axle is now glued into place, we're just going to give a little tug and pull our axle pin out, as well as our axle through this side. So here is our wheel from one side, right? And so you see how this little nub on the back sticks out. If we can get rid of this nub, then this will suck the wheel in and allow it to sit more flush with our fender. So to get rid of that, we're going to take our file that we used earlier for the axle channel, and we're just going to gently file along on this part right here until this guy is gone. Alright, so there it is after being sanded down. You can see how much is actually left. So that's one wheel, and now we're going to repeat that process on the other side. Alright, so we've got this one done. We've got this one done. So we'll put our axle system back together, and we still got a full roller. We'll test fit our body. And boom, we've definitely drastically reduced that poke that we had on that front wheel. You can see that on both sides there. So we'll squeeze it in, make sure both sides, and much better. Actually kind of matches the rear now, so the rear would almost be okay to kind of leave in that state. So not too bad. And we'll test our roll again. Still a full roller on this side. Still a full roller on this side. So we're good. So I think I'll go back in because I'd like to get that a little bit more flush, and I'll shave down the rest of the nub on the fronts and the rears, and then we'll bring it back to show you how flush everything sits. Alright, so we are back. We have fully shaved the backside of all four wheels. So we are perfectly flush in the rears now. And then up front, we are as flush as we're going to get, which is almost perfectly flush as well. Just move that one in, but yeah, beautiful. So you'll see shaving the backside nub of that wheel definitely tucked it up. I'm looking at these tires, and they are a little bit thin, so I think we might be able to get away with just a little bit thicker tire and still be able to roll without having to shave our fenders. And so I'm going to go through my tire stash and see if I can find something a little bit thick just to close that gap a little bit more, but still allow us to roll without shaving it out. Alright, so we are back. Our axles are glued in. I did find a different tire. It's a little bit thicker, not too much, but they are a little bit more thick. So I put those on, so we are good to go. Our base is on. We can put this base down with our wheels. We can see that it does indeed roll back and forth, right? All four wheels are rolling. You can see the tires on the other side. So cool, we have clearance there, we're good. Next up, we had to create clearance on our interior. So I went ahead and shaved these out. Just a simple little cutting wheel on a Dremel. Just hollow those out a little bit. Because our axles are glued in place, it doesn't really matter how deep we cut those, just deep enough to make sure that they go over. So we'll put that on there. And then our upper has the glass with the third piece wing, which is in the slots. So we'll go ahead and slap this on. Snap our body into place. And boom, everything is there. And our wheel swap is complete. So we were able to create a new axle, lower the car. We greatly reduced the wheel gap. It's not by any means slammed, right? Slammed, I would have had to shave this base down. This would all be shaved down, and the wheel would be basically fender to lip, right? So the lip would be right on the fender. But I still think for this casting in this car, I think this looks excellent. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about how this turned out and how easy the process was. So again, we did not have to shave the base, and we didn't have to shave the interior fender. So there's our interior fenders. We did not have to shave anything, so saved us quite a bit of time and labor, heartache, mess, all kinds of stuff. Once you get into shaving those fenders, it becomes a little tricky because at that point you run the risk of bubbling the paint if you go too thin, if your Dremel slips and you end up nicking the face of the fender, so where you can see it. So all in all, it's just best if you don't have to, and I think this turned out excellent. So again, let me know down in the comments what you thought. And here is our roll test. Full roller on both sides. Yes, sir. Guys, I think this turned out excellent. Hopefully everybody was able to learn something today and gain some information that maybe they didn't know about either A, how to tuck the wheels and make them flush, how to create an axle. Again, you do need those 3-piece axles to kind of complete this. I will show you another method one day on slamming with this same style axle that you don't need those 3-piece axles, and it's not permanent or anything like that. It's just a different method. So we'll go over that on a different swap at another time. But let me know down in the comments what you thought about the process, how easy you think it is, whether or not you think you could pull it off, and then how you think this car turned out after we completed all of our work and everything. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to smash that like button. We appreciate you guys tuning in and sharing your time with us. And again, hopefully we provided some information that helps you guys on your wheel swapping journeys. Thank you guys again. We'll see you on the next one. One love.